Welcome to the Amazon Savages podcast. Hear the stories of Amazon sellers crushing it in the game and keep up with the latest strategies that are working. Sit back, relax, and remember, if you truly try and work really hard, you will make a ridiculous amount of money selling on Amazon.
But you actually have to try. You actually have to put the effort in. This shit's fucking hard. Today, I'm joined with Ricardo, who does $2 million a month selling on Amazon. He does $20 million plus a year in online sales. That is 2 times 12, $24 million a year on Amazon. Is that correct?
This year we should be hitting around 22.
22. Okay.
Yeah.
So I need to update the thumbnail. I put 20 million. You also put online sales. So is that 100% Amazon then, or are you doing sales off of Amazon too?
We do Walmart, we do eBay, we do Wayfair and Mercado Libre.
Okay.
But I can tell you 98% of our sales are Amazon.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Well, I'm super excited to interview you today. You're Venezuelan. It sounds like you sell internationally. You're crushing it selling on Amazon. And yeah, let's dive into it, man. So if you want to tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got started and like what really got you into selling on Amazon, and did you start with retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, books? How did this all start?
So I started in 2015. It all started because my dad had a company that distributed phones to Latin America. So he was selling Samsung, iPhone, Huawei, Xiaomi. There's a bunch of phone brands that were sold at the moment. And he had a team member who started the Amazon business, but it was not profitable at the moment because they were only selling, I don't know, it was like $8,000-$10,000 a month. But on the phone industry, the margins are extremely slim. So when you actually come to see the numbers, they were losing money on the Amazon operation. And at the moment, they made the decision to cut the Amazon program off. And the guy just quit. Or I don't know if they fired him. I have no idea. But then over dinner, my dad was discussing the opportunity, and he was like, hey, do you want to take care of the Amazon business and see if it's something that might be fruitful or something that might be worth doing? Maybe if you do it part-time after high school, because I was only 15 in 2015. And then I said yes. He offered minimum wage plus a commission of 30% of profit. I was like, sure, I'll go for the profit. And that's how I got started. Little by little, first year did 80K, always in wholesale. Second year, 120. Third year, 1.2. Fourth year, 3.2. Fifth, we went down to 2.3, but same profit. We switched categories. We stopped selling phones. After that, we did 5, then 20, then 10. And this year we should be doing around 20, 22, 24. That's awesome. Around there. Yeah.
So you're 22 years old.
23. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. I didn't realize how young you were. That's and you're married already?
I am, yeah.
You're like on the fast track of life. You're married, you got the Amazon business.
Hopefully I don't get to like the death part as soon as I have got into the
yeah. Dude, I thought you were like 30 something. I had no idea. So
no.
So is your dad still pretty involved?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I would be considered the CEO, mostly because of my dominance in the English language. He has a little bit more of a language barrier. He manages more of the ops and financial side of the business, and more focused towards the marketing and growth strategies, and also sort of the Amazon guru within the company, the one that hangs out with Amazon people and learns new tricks and tactics that we could implement in the company. And yeah, I mean, he is very much involved. I'm 33% partner in the business, and my mom and dad own the rest.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How much capital did this take to start up?
So initially we started with terms. My dad had a business already up and running. He already had suppliers, and those suppliers already gave him payment terms.
And these were all like cell phone suppliers?
Correct.
Anything else, or just cell phone?
I mean, initially it was primarily cell phones, but also the cell phone suppliers little by little started diversifying. Like I said, the cell phone industry in that date and to date, it's still very slim on margin. It's quick rotation. It's you literally buy in the morning and sell in the afternoon type thing, and you're working with 1-2% margin.
And
It
those sales were primarily outside of the US, you said, 100%?
it was mostly to customers in Chile, um, Venezuela, Colombia, Paraguay. It was primarily to Latin America, some European clients. Um, that's the start of the business. But then those same suppliers, as they diversified, they got access to big brands in the accessory space, in the electronic space. We're not big in that area anymore, primarily because um, of returns and how costly they are. Although we do still manage some brands and some products that we sell in that category.
Okay. And so prior to like the cell phone, your dad doing 8,000 to 10,000 a month, you're 15 years old. Did he have much e-commerce experience before then, or was that was his first venture?
That was the first venture in the cell phone industry. I mean, in the e-commerce industry.
Mhm.
I When I started on Amazon, I had mentors, like for example, my dad in the business world. But to be honest, within Amazon or the e-commerce industry, it was just a bunch of failure that eventually, with persistence and perseverance, it led to some success, some level of success. But it was just trial and error mostly.
Mhm.
And I would stay up late after high school, essentially just researching Amazon, reading up all their policies. Um, I don't. There was just very very little info back then. There was mostly about private label. There was some info about private label, but wholesale, not at all. Very very little.
What do you think allowed you to make that jump in revenue? Was it the new accounts? Was it like fast selling product? Did you get access to more capital? Like what? Because you went from went
120
over
to
those numbers.
1.2. So
Yeah.
that year, 10x, we did one change. We switched from FBN to FBA. That's the only thing we did. And after
Mhm.
that, a little bit after that, we started implementing repricers,
So same
which
products, you just
same
bought
products.
more of everything, and you saw like an increase in sales with FBA and an increase in price too, or
Not increasing price, but yes, increasing sales. With FBA, you get a lot more buy box share. Back then customers actually would go on to see who was selling it cheaper. Nowadays, not as much. And then also Amazon did give some buy box rotation to FBM sellers, but a lot more to FBA. And once we got into FBA, it was just everything started selling a lot quicker, a lot faster. I was like, okay, this is the way to go. And then a little bit after that, we went to the Prosper Show in Vegas in 2017. It was February, March, around there. There we found out about a repricer, and we started doing repricing as well. And FBA plus repricer and Celsius went through the roof with same products pretty much.
Mhm. So you got to 1.2 mil. Do you know what the margin on that was?
Horrible. It was it was, I believe, 7%.
Okay.
Yeah, cell phones. That's why we don't sell them anymore. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and like international sales, I mean, are you importing or exporting all that stuff? Like, do
No,
you
it was
have?
all well. Actually, most of it was imported from China. The
Mhm.
cell phone, Samsung, everything was imported. We bought direct from the distributors. Um, but ourselves, we bought locally. We were buying local inventory, flipping quick. It was all that was the name of the game. As the quicker we could flip the goods, the quicker we could get the cash turned around. That's essentially what we're looking for. Um, but little by little we learned that's not real. The real way to do business. We needed to calculate our we needed to calculate what were our ops, what was the actual profit left after ops. um there was a lot of things that we've learned along the way.
Mhm. Yeah, I imagine. And then after the 1.2 year, what did you get up to?
2 point, I believe, I don't know what I mentioned, but I believe it was 2.4, 2.3 around there.
Okay.
And then we did 3.2.
Okay. And then 10 after that?
5.
5.
Yeah.
Okay. And are you kind of staying around the same margin this whole time, or are you
No,
increasing margin?
we've increased. So this year we should be closing 22, 23, 22. I don't know what we'll close on, but our margin is around 14 to 15. We have some weeks where we hit 16%. Um, our goal has been not only increase sales but also profitability, which is the name of the game. We're not in it to sell; we're in it to make money.
Hmm. And besides stopping selling cell phones,
Yeah.
what increased your margin? What other things did you do?
Uh, so the at the start, well, not at the start of the year, but at the end of last year, we were selling the same products we're selling now, and our margin was around 13%, 12 to 13%. We've increased our average margin by 2 points, um, doing a couple things. One of them is we were shipping a lot of UPS, even though we were selling a lot of volume. And we were also not having. So the repricer is a great tool, but you need to learn how to manage it. You can't just leave it alone, leave it and forget it. You need to actually go in and, all right, let's see what the market is selling me at the moment. Let's see what products are selling on max, what products are selling at the floor price. Where am I not competitive anymore? What products are selling more than we initially forecasted? Um, so now we have a team member exclusively dedicated to operating our repricer. We use SellerSnap, and that team member is day in and day out checking all of our competitors, checking, all right, this is the product that is being a pain in the ass right now. We need to see if we are going to liquidate, see if we're going to hold. So implementing more strategic thinking, not just leave it and forget it type thing,
Mm.
into every decision. And then instead of doing UPS, now we're doing truckloads, and it's faster than UPS and cheaper.
So what are the main things your repricer team member finds is wrong with the repricer, or not wrong, but like what are they doing that the repricer can't? Like what are they finding? What types of changes are they making that computers just can't make?
So, for example, with SellerSnap, you just set a minimum and a maximum,
Yeah.
and they're one of the best repricers that we've seen out there. They're very, very good, but at the same time, they operate within that rule that you give them. And the market fluctuates over time. So you need to be on top of the market. You need to be checking, okay, the minimum is no longer relevant because these two competitors now went in and they dropped the market price. So our person is in charge of going in, evaluating, okay, they dropped the market price, but how much inventory do they have? Do they have a lot of inventory? Are they loaded? Or do they have very little inventory and they're not a threat? Are we in a healthy cash flow position? Do we need to drop the price in order for us to recuperate as much cash as possible to be able to pay our loans or whatever we need to pay, or to reinvest because we've had this product already on our hands for too much time. So she's always evaluating that. Then the other thing that we know is, for example, SellerSnap has a JoJo strategy, which is essentially dropping the price, increasing the price, dropping the price, increasing the price, trying to pull the repricers from our competitors up. So trying to up the price through a strategy. And that's not in the AI strategy. So you have to trigger that manually. But you also need to be checking which products are interesting to implement that on. If you have 10 people competing for the buy box, it's very hard to implement the JoJo strategy. But if it's only you and two other guys, or maybe one other guy, where there's only two repricers competing against each other, you can sort of trick the other repricer to pull the price up.
Okay.
What
And
else?
can you explain a little bit more about that yo-yo strategy? So like you lower the price. Is the idea that you win the buy box and then you keep the buy box and raise the price, or you win the buy box and raise the price and hope it rotates back to you? Like how does it work?
Correct. So you essentially drop the price, or it goes to the market price, to the buy box price, and then let's say the product is currently selling at $15, and the repricer drops the price to 15, so it's at a competitive price, and then it pulls it up to its max price, and then you set it up as to, all right, hold it there for 15 minutes or for 30 minutes or for I don't know how many minutes you want to hold it there for. And essentially, if the other person has a repricer, the repricer is going to notice, okay, there's no one else competing with me at 15. Maybe I can pull the price up at 16 and I'll continue to sell. So then our repricer from 20 goes to 16. And we already upped the price by $1. So we increased margin. And then if we continue with JoJo strategy and there's no other sellers, we might be able to pull the price up.
And is the yo-yo strategy like contingent on time? Is it contingent on when you get the buy box? Is it contingent on when you get sales? Like when does that kick in?
So it's based on buy box rotation, if I'm not mistaken. And that's
so
how
when you get the buy box, yo-yo strategy kicks in.
Yeah, correct. Okay. As soon as you lose the buy box, then it pulls the price up.
Okay, gotcha. So it doesn't move when you're in the buy box, but when you're not in the buy box, it does.
Correct.
Okay.
And then you'll lose the buy box and you won't win it when you're up, but it'll try to go back down at a competitive price so you can start winning the buy box again, getting some sales. So that's sort of how I'm pretty sure that's how it works, and that's what we do.
Yeah. I use Channel Max and they have that. I don't currently use the yo-yo strategy, but we do reprice up once every 24 hours.
Okay.
And so that kind of accomplishes similar outcomes. I want to do like variable pricing too. So like if I sell a lot of a unit, then it tries to bring the price up. And I currently don't have that. And I think that would be a good one to have.
Yeah, that's something that we also implement. And sometimes also the price is way too high and you lose velocity. But then you know that item, you currently have a good promo with your supplier. So instead of leaving it at a high price with high margin, you want quick rotation. So you want to be able to be on top of that. So you know that you have a price that's rotating quick with decent margin, and then once the promo stops, okay, let me get higher margin. So there's a bunch of different things that we're doing on the back end to make sure our profitability is higher.
100%.
Yeah.
How big of a chunk of your business is international sales? Are you
right now
primarily .com, or how much? You mentioned Mercado Libre and these other websites.
So Mercado Libre, we're just starting. That one we got invited to their global partner program, which is essentially it's like it's not Wayfair, but it's a drop shipping program. So you sell in Mercado Libre, Mexico, or kind of Colombia, or any other of they have, I believe, Colombia, Chile, Brazil, and Mexico enabled in that program. And whenever there's a sale comes in through there, they send you the label, and then you drop ship it to a warehouse they have in Miami.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And those are probably the main few countries. Mexico, unfortunately, not Venezuela or Cuba.
No, actually, Mercado Libre is in Venezuela.
Okay.
But it's not part of the global trade program. Uh, Although Mexico does represent 80%
Yeah.
of their program. Yeah,
Do
80% of
you
the sales.
do any I was going to say .com sales in Mexico. Do you do any Amazon sales in Mexico?
Yeah, we do. I think right now we're doing around. I want to say it's around 30 to 40,000 a month.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
in Amazon Mexico.
Don't confuse it with pesos.
Yeah,
Sometimes you
no.
open up the app and you're like, wow, I'm rich.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you got to do the conversion.
Yeah. Last night, my assistant she was like, yeah, it's $720. I'm here in Mexico right now.
Okay.
And she was like, it's $720 for your salsa classes. And I'm doing group lessons. And I'm like, there's no way for 2 months that I'm paying $720 for the salsa. It was in pesos. I had to pay $42. So,
It's very different. It's very
yeah.
different. Yeah. Awesome.
So you're doing, you got the cell phone thing going on a few years back.
Yeah.
Now you're teaching Amazon. I'm sure some of your students are like, who know your story, are like, well, you already had the suppliers from the cell phone days who expanded to other categories.
Yeah.
You kind of had like an unfair advantage. What percentage of your sales now are coming from new suppliers that came from like cold outreach? Like you pick up the phone, or maybe you email. Like what percent are brand new suppliers, or are they not?
So all of them are new suppliers. None of them are from those cell phone dates, but
Okay.
none of them were cold outreach.
Okay.
All of them came through a relationship of some sort.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it was friends of a friend, uncles, local companies that we knew from before, but not in the cell phone industry.
So are you asking your suppliers to like introduce you to other suppliers, or?
No, it's just friends. I mean, I
Gotcha.
guess your network is your net worth.
100%.
So yeah, we try to hang out with people in the commerce world, and typically opportunities tend to come our way.
Definitely. Speaking of networkers and network, we got Miami Sellers Conference coming up next year.
Miami Sellers Conference. Commit to expanding your network by the best Amazon event of the year. Visit MiamiSellersConference.com today to save your seat.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
I paid to have all these ad libs made by this like sports car racer dude.
That's funny. That's
Miami
awesome.
Sellers Conference coming up next year, January 2024. Hopefully we'll have you there, man, because
That'd be
down
awesome.
in Miami.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
What tips would you have? I ask everyone on this podcast the same question. What's the fastest way to go from 0 to 100,000 in Amazon sales?
I would say, I mean, to me, it's pretty easy. But how to explain it to someone initially is the quickest way is to go slow. Because if you want to do it quick and if you have the cash, sure. But if you don't have capital, you're leveraging perhaps with credit card, you're leveraging with friends and family's money, or you're doing Amazon lending, you're doing this and that to try to get capital quick. Sure, yes. But at the beginning, I'm a big fan of bootstrapping. And if you can go slow and actually build a solid foundation, a solid base, um, treating Amazon as a hobby, almost not even as like putting the pressure, not even putting the pressure of it being your full-time job or income. I would argue that's the best way to start, in my opinion, and that's what I recommend everyone who's starting out without capital. If you do have capital, 100K a month is literally one supplier away. And that's as easy as it is. I mean, if you the main thing you need to learn is how to analyze properly, so you mitigate risk. But if you're able to learn properly on how to use Keepa, how to use the different um, charts to analyze your products on Amazon before you purchase, 100K a month is one supplier away.
Yeah.
And you just knock on doors until you get it.
What is your product checklist like for beginners? What types of products should they be going after? Because I'm sure it changes as you scale, as you have more
Yeah.
money to put into products. What types of products should like brand new people be focusing on? Fast selling, high ROI, certain categories?
It's a good question, but I would also argue this is a business where we're in it to make money, right? So if it sells 10,000 units a month, I don't care. If it sells 3 units a month, I don't care. But if it sells 3 units a month, it sells 3 units a month and it's making me $100 each unit, and I invested 300, so I'm getting a 300% ROI. Yeah, that's the product I want to go for. Instead of going for 1,000 units that make me $300 because each one makes me 30 cents. So you just want to go for ROI. I mean, no matter in the stage of the business you're on, I would argue rotation is not the biggest of things. Obviously, if it's a product that's going to sell only 3 units a month, I wouldn't go for a low ticket item. I would go for higher ticket items. So you can justify the time you're investing into researching and doing this and that, perhaps even picking it up. Um, but ROI is the main goal. Yeah.
Gotcha. So I want to ask you what you think the biggest mistakes that beginner sellers make, and then what different types of mistakes people make as they start seeing success in wholesale, because those two different types of people will make different mistakes, obviously. But before we get into that, take a quick commercial break. I want to show you guys the power of GoToLister. GoToLister's listing software made for booksellers, online arbitrage sellers, and wholesalers. And specifically, since this is a wholesale podcast where we have a wholesaler on the podcast today, this is where I think wholesalers can benefit. This is my wholesale account. And
Awesome.
as you can see not only sales each day. So Amazon Seller app shows you sales, but we show you profit on a daily basis. So you can see $2,200 profit. This is after buy cost, after Amazon fees. This factors everything in except for prep cost and merchant fulfilled shipping. So if you have merchant fulfilled shipping or prep cost, mentally note that. But this is a gross profit report. We're coming out with more profit reports soon. But if you guys want quick and easy bookkeeping, if you want an all-in-one solution for listing and tracking your profits, and if you want to work with a company who's actually going to listen to you, we're listening to all of our users and requests that they have. Go give GoToLister a try. There's a link below. It's actually the fastest listing software on the planet. There's not one that's faster. We've programmed it really fast because booksellers need a quick listing, but this also works for online arbitrage product. I use it for my wholesale products. And we have box contents. We help you create shipments start to finish on Amazon. So that is GoToLister. Back to the podcast. The mistakes to avoid as a beginner seller versus a medium-sized seller.
I would argue beginner seller not doing the right analysis, and also thinking that any product that your friend or family makes also sells on Amazon. No. Amazon is, if you're doing wholesale, if you're reselling, you're reselling products that are already selling. You're selling products that have ranking and that are profitable and have velocity. And for larger sellers, the biggest mistake I've seen is not knowing their numbers and just thinking that if they have good sales, they're making money. But it's one of the biggest lies that a lot of resellers fall into, including ourselves previously. Now we've really invested a lot into knowing exactly how much we're making.
Yeah. What do you think like the root cause of that issue is? They're seeing that they're selling products, they're selling them at a profit. Is
Yeah.
it because they have too much inventory in stock that a lot of their cash is still tied up and it's not yet sold? Is it because they're not factoring in certain expenses? Like what is the root cause of not understanding your profits and not making a profit?
A lot of what I've seen is a lot of sellers not including their ops into their analysis. That's a big one. Also, well, if you have capital in your warehouse, if you have product sitting. That's product that's costing you a lot of cash. Um, if you're over leveraged, if you have very expensive debt, um, it's a bunch of different factors. Everyone has a different story. Um, not everyone is buying product that makes them 15-20% margin. A lot of people just want to sell more and they fall into the trap of buying products at 5% margin. And what you don't know is that your ops might be at 8% or at 9 or at 7. Then if that's the case, you're in a cash flow deficit. So it's a bunch of different things, but I would argue that those are some of the top I've seen.
And how can someone get a better grasp of what's going on with that?
So internally, at the moment, for example, we have a full-time bookkeeper, and she's always making sure our numbers are clean. We have very, very good also Excel reports that have very detailed breakdowns of where the costs are going. If we have higher inbound costs this month, if we have a higher refunds, cost of goods, and we're evaluating month by month, right? This is what we're doing. This is what we were doing. This is where we need to increase our profitability. This is an opportunity. Not just guiding yourself with, for example, if you have Settersnap also tells you the profit, or in the case your software GoToLister, it seems wonderful and it's a great tool to have at a quick glance, but not it does not tell you that tells you essentially your gross profit. You're not including there my warehouse. You're not including their employees, VAs, softwares, this, that.
Lost inventory.
Correct. So knowing the details after the fact, knowing your actual net, your EBITDA, that's essentially what you need to invest into knowing, especially if you're growing and think you're growing, but maybe you're not.
Have you always used your own warehouse, or do you have prep centers?
We've always used our own warehouse, although we do have some prep centers, for example, in Jersey. We're in Miami, so if we buy goods from Jersey, we just use a prep center in Jersey, and we locate them strategically, especially if the costs of getting goods to our warehouse are going to be higher than it costs just to prep it. So that's sort of the scenario where we use prep centers for.
Right.
Although we do have our ops here in Miami currently. We have a 5,000 square foot warehouse, but then the warehouse next door, we use like half of it, so maybe like 7.5 thousand.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What are the main differences in the roles that your dad takes in the business and that you assume?
Yeah, so he's mostly on the financial side. He's the one that is to make sure that we know our numbers, along with the bookkeeper that we have internally. And then I'm mostly with the growth and the strategy and looking for new suppliers, bringing opportunities to the table, and then just plugging it into the system we've sort of built within our own company.
And how big of a deal is Supplier Outreach at this phase?
It's still very important. As a wholesaler, you can't stay still. You have to always be building new relationships, especially if you want to grow. And one of the good things that we found is not all suppliers are good. We just want to have exclusive suppliers. Like, we're always trying to get new suppliers, but also the ones we have, we grow our accounts with them as much as we can, and we try to get new brands with those same suppliers that we already have. So we try to sort of locate suppliers by category. That's sort of what we've done.
Have you found that, like, the most common categories people talk about in the wholesale space in the Amazon community are the best categories to go after? Or have you found that you're selling categories that nobody talks about that are really, really good? If that makes sense.
It makes sense. No, it makes sense. The most popular category everyone posts about is groceries, and not only groceries, but health and beauty.
Mhm.
They're very good categories. The only thing is, you got to notice that it's FMCG, fast moving consumer goods. So if you're in FMCG, you're not in the margin business, you're in the volume business. So you got to build a very, very slim and optimal business that really operates within that industry and is able to get the best cost basis per unit possible. So you can push as much volume through your store in order to actually be profitable. Um, there's a bunch of other categories like baby. There's categories like kitchen, categories like, I don't know, automotive, electronics. Every single category, I would argue, is good. You just need to you need to know your category and build an op that is optimal for your category. For example, in electronics, you really need to have a good RMA team, a return management team, um, where they essentially check all the returns, check that the serial number matches, check its functionality, so you know, okay, I can set it as like new, very good, good, acceptable, and be able to push it back towards a used item on Amazon and recuperate a lot of the margin. Each category has its own thing, but if you specialize, you're going to be able to find what's optimal and what's not. You just got to be obsessive about the category you focus
Mm.
on.
Do you think it's a mistake to go after too many categories?
Um, No, not really. It's just if you go after one, you could really get good at it, and then
Mhm.
go after others.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
We got, I can't pronounce her name. Shrew Shrutika Sevilla. I'm not sure. How can we start online arbitrage outside the USA?
So what I've seen is a lot of people. First of all, you need a prep center. That for sure. Um, and then online arbitrage is, you need a US address so they don't cancel your orders. That's also, I don't do online arbitrage, but this is what I've seen and heard.
Mhm. It would be
US
the same
address.
concept as
Yeah.
doing wholesale, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same, but also sourcing is where it changes, because you need to really know how to look for the deals. You need to use the right rebate tools, like, I don't know, perhaps Rakuten, or um, there's Be Frugal. There's a bunch of them that get you as much discount as possible. I guess outside of the US, you can't apply for the credit cards, the in-store credit cards, like the Walmart one from Capital One. uh, there's a bunch of little tips and tricks that there are on YouTube, and
Mhm.
they could help you out.
Sweet, yeah. And also, if you guys follow Javier,
Yeah,
Mundo
Mundo Amazon.
Amazon
Yeah, yeah.
on Instagram, he's got a lot of tips. And also, what's her name? Her name's slipping off of me right now. I think she's Venezuelan as well. A lot of Venezuelans. Maybe she's not Venezuelan.
Which one?
Uh,
My Dream F.
FBA, My Dream FBA. Yeah,
I believe she's Dominican.
Dominican. Okay,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
she's also got great content on how to
Yeah.
sell internationally.
Correct.
So, do you do any like PPC?
I mean, we have private label.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you do any PPC for wholesale?
No,
Okay.
I
You
I,
never do PPC for wholesale?
I think it's a waste of time unless the item is very unless it has a very low sales volume. Maybe some PPC is worth it, because you can push
Mhm.
some traffic that to a product that is not being seen quite a lot, but maybe has good margin. But if it's got good rotation and a good BSR, I would not touch it.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. We just have so much stock, and we're starting to run PPC on some just to like
Yeah,
sell
yeah.
through faster, and we're getting about a 4x ROAS on it. But
I mean,
I mean, we're spending like $400 to do like 2K in sales ish, maybe a little bit less, and it's like, is it worth it? You know, like I
I
don't know.
mean, the thing is, you got to think on wholesale. tend to have low margin. It's not like private label. Although I checked, I saw your go-to lister account, and your profitability is quite good. I mean,
Yeah.
you're managing at least 100% ROI on your investments, if
Yeah.
not more. So there it might be healthy, and those numbers could work. But for the majority of the wholesale industry, we don't have that type of margin because we're dealing with perhaps 35-40% ROI, maybe not even, maybe less, maybe 27. And when we invest in PPC, if you're at 4 ROAS, shit, you're losing money.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, dude, you're so young. Do you have a goal by the time you're 30 to achieve like financial freedom? Do you have what vision do you have for yourself in the future in terms of like financial success? Because you're already like light years ahead of where a lot of people are.
I don't know. To be honest, I'm pretty chill. So I wouldn't say I am where I'd like to be in the future in terms of just personal goals, but I I can't say I'm not in a place I don't want to be at. Like I don't have any financial like headaches type thing.
Mm,
I just live. If I want to do this, I do it. I'm also not like super. I'm not frugal, but I'm not spending a shit ton of money.
yeah.
I'm just chill. Yeah,
Mm,
so I just go with vibe. I guess where I'd like to be is I'd like to be traveling a lot more, and it's not because I can't right now. It's just because um there like I just got married. We're waiting for my wife's paperwork to get done. As soon as she has that, then we'll be out and about.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Where
yeah,
are you
yeah.
gonna go?
I really want to go to Africa and India.
Okay.
Yeah,
What part of Africa? Africa's huge.
yeah. South Africa seems very
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah.
Egypt also. Um, Perhaps some safaris. Some Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when I start looking up hotels and resorts.
Have you
Uh,
traveled much? I know I grabbed that picture of you. Look like you're in Italy or somewhere.
so I did do backpacking in Italy for 30 days right after I graduated high school. And then I also went to China in 2019 for around 30 days. I've been to Europe in 2021. I went to Europe for like a month and a half. Spain, France, Italy, Cyprus, Germany, Portugal. I like to travel. It's one
Mm.
of my passions, really getting to know a lot of people and seeing different cultures, food.
What about going back to Venezuela? Do you have a desire to travel there?
I do want to visit. I don't imagine myself living in
Oh
Venezuela
yeah.
anymore. Although visiting, I really do want to go. My parents are actually there at the moment, and the
Okay.
pictures they send are beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't know if
They
you've
have
ever
that
seen
waterfall down there.
Salto Angel, the
Yeah.
tallest waterfall in the world, one
Yeah.
kilometer high.
Yeah, that one. I
Yeah.
want to go see that. That's on my bucket list. I got to get a new passport or sneak in to get there because they won't let Americans in.
Yeah, you could just sneak in through
Sneak
Cucuta,
in.
Colombia.
Okay. Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Colombia, so I can probably find like a chauffeur to take me across.
It's really easy, like extremely easy. You just drive in. They don't even stamp anything.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Um, Ben books the world, or Ben, what's his name? Ben, whatever. Ben books the world. It's a weird name now that I say it out loud. But
Yeah.
he went there and he used a German passport. He's
Okay.
American, but he used his German passport to get in.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Well, if
yeah,
you go, definitely post pictures. That it's a beauty.
yeah, I will.
A lot of people don't know about it, but Venezuela does have very beautiful hidden gems.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like it's the same situation as Cuba. It's like they're just like the government's kind of fucking the country, but
Yeah.
the culture is probably like the most beautiful in both those countries. Like they produce so much good music and just like overall great culture, but the government's like, strangle the countries in a sense.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, it's what dictatorship does at the end of the day, but the culture and the people are still beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. But definitely traveling it's I would say the best gift or the best investment I would consider my money. Yeah. If I have to invest my money in something, it'd probably be traveling.
Yeah. Same, man. I'm
Yeah.
out here in Mexico right now. It's my goal to try. I want to go to every single country in the world before I die. That's my goal.
Nice. I like that. I probably don't want to go to every single one, but I want to go to.
I want to go to the ones I don't want to go to because I want to see the things that, like I want to go to Nigeria. I want to go to, I don't know. I don't want to like bash any countries, but like Afghanistan,
North Korea.
I wouldn't even include like Venezuela or Cuba in those because those two countries have so much good to offer. Like I went to Cuba and they have, I think they have some of the best music in the world. 100%. So it's like I can get over the Wi-Fi situation.
And I've seen you dancing some salsa, so maybe.
Yeah, dude, I've been dancing for a long ass time. I'm like obsessed with it. It's a problem.
That's awesome. I need some lessons. I don't know how to dance salsa.
No, you're Venezuelan. It's in the blood.
Maybe not. Maybe have two left, but we'll see.
I appreciate you coming on, man. Where can the people find you at?
Ricardo.ceo on Instagram. Also, I have a podcast on YouTube.
Yeah, I saw that.
Entre Cajas. It's doing phenomenal. It's mostly for the Hispanic community. But yeah, just Ricardo CEO on Instagram.
Awesome.
That's where you'll find.
I'll link both those below after the show. And yeah, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Awesome. Thank you, brother.
All right, brother.
That's it.